This is Calculus, Topic 6, Homework Problems 6, 10, and 11. We want to take the integral of this problem right here, so I'm going to turn this into a product. So we'll have the integral of x squared minus x and e to the negative x power dx. I'm going to solve this by integration by parts, so I'll have a function that will be a derivative and another function that will be an antiderivative. I want to choose my x squared minus x for my derivative function and my antiderivative function e to the negative x. Now, the derivative of x squared minus x is 2x minus 1, and the derivative of 2x minus 1 is 2. The derivative of 2 is 0. Now, I just taken an iteration of derivatives down to 0 for my polynomial x squared minus 0. Now, I want to take antiderivatives of e to the negative 1. And in order to take a antiderivative of e to the negative 1, e to the negative x, this is actually a u function. The derivative of u will be negative 1. So the reciprocal of this will be added to the next antiderivative, which will be negative 1 times e to the negative x. And another antiderivative of this will give us another negative, which now is positive e to the negative x. And yet another antiderivative will be e to the negative x, now times another negative 1, which will give us negative here. On this side, we're going to put down plus, minus, plus, minus. This combination will give us our first term, which is x squared minus x, the negative, and the e to the negative x. Our second term will come from the combination of these two. We have a negative here, a 2x minus 1, and an e to the negative x. Third combination will come from these two, which has a negative, a 2, and an e to the negative x. When we put these together, we're going to get 0, and the antiderivative of 0 is a constant, so that'll be plus c. Now I'm going to factor out, let's say, the e to the negative x power. So we have e to the negative x. Also, we'll take out the negative as well. And that'll leave behind the x squared minus x, a positive in front of the 2x minus 1, and a positive 2 here. Okay, this will simplify to negative e to the negative x, and we'll get x squared. Negative x and positive 2x will give me positive x. And the negative 1 and the 2, that will give me a positive 1. And then plus c. And this will be my final result. Okay, same idea behind this. We want to take the antiderivative of this and then evaluate it from 0 to 1. So let's make the derivative part the x plus 1, and the antiderivative will be e to the x. So the derivative of x plus 1 is 1, and the derivative of 1 is 0. We'll stop our iterations here at 0. The antiderivative of e to the x is e to the x, and the antiderivative of e to the x, again, is e to the x. And we'll have a plus, minus, plus, and we're going to combine these two to get a x plus 1 e to the x. Combine these two to get a negative 1 e to the x. And when we multiply these two, we'll get 0, and that'll be c when we take the antiderivative. But we don't need the c because we're going to evaluate this from 0 to 1. So when I put the 1 in here, I'll get a 2, a e to the first power, minus an e to the first power. Okay. When I put the 0 in here, I'll get a 1, and an e to the 0, which is also 1, which is 1, and then minus e to the 0 here, which will be 1. Okay, so 2 e's minus 1 e is a single e. 1 minus 1 is 0, so this will just be e. Now, number 11. Number 11, again, we want to take the derivative of this, 4x squared plus x. Oh, should put that above. And the antiderivative of the e to the negative x. So the derivatives will be 8x plus 1. Next derivative will be 8. and my final derivative will be 0. Okay. The antiderivative of this will be negative e to the negative x, positive e to the negative x, and negative e to the negative x. And now we'll start combining. These two will combine for a plus minus, forgot those. Okay, these two will combine for a negative 4 x squared plus x e to the negative x. These two combine for a negative, and a 8x plus 1 e to the negative x. These two will combine for a negative 8 e to the negative x, and this combination will be 0, and the antiderivative of 0 is c, and we don't use c's when we're doing definite integrals, so we'll just evaluate this from negative 1 to 1. Okay, let's put the 1 in here. A 1 here gives me 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we get a negative 5 and e to the negative 1. A 1 here gives me 8 plus 1, which is 9, so it'll be negative 9, and the 1 here will give me e to the negative 1. And a 1 here will give me negative 8 e to the negative 1. Okay, now let's put the negative 1 in here. Okay, a negative 1 squared is 1, and 1 times 4 is 4, and a negative 1 makes 3. So that'll be a negative 3 e to the positive 1 power. Okay, a negative 1 here will give me a negative 8, and a negative 8 and a positive 1 is a negative 7, which makes it a positive 7, and that'll be e to the positive 1 power. And a negative here will give me a double negative, which is positive, so minus 8 e to the first power. Alright, let's combine these. I have a 5 and a 9, that gives me 14, plus a negative 8, negative 22, e to the negative 1 power. Okay. I have a negative 8 and a 7 here, which gives me negative 1. A negative 1 and a 3 gives me negative 4. This changes to a positive 4, e to the first power. Alright, so I'm going to simplify this down to, let's say, 4e minus 22 over e. Okay, and this was my final answer.